we ready? Good morning, everyone. It's 9:30. I'll call this meeting to order, and I'd ask that we stand for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. I would ask if there is any rise in reports.
Yes, thank you, Warden. There's three matters to report on. First, Council adopted its in-camera minutes of its September 5th meeting. Secondly, Council had instructed staff that the staff compensation report be disclosed publicly, which is in the materials. And then thirdly, Council was updated on current collective bargaining sessions with the SEIU, and was provided an update that those discussions and negotiations will resume on November 15th of this year.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7 is the minutes of Council from September 5th. I could get a mover. Councillor McCharles, Councillor Bean, Deputy Mayor McCharles, sorry, or Deputy Warden McCharles, sorry about that. Any questions regarding the minutes? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item number 8, Corporate Services Division. This is regarding Warden Councillor compensation. And there is a report and a recommendation at the bottom of that report. How does Council? Any discussion? Councillor Napper.
Yes, thank you very much, Warden Weber. I looked this over here, and there was one thing that I noticed that wasn't in there, and about the just going on a salary. We have a deputy warden, and they put in a lot of time, but once they take that position, then they're delegated to about 3 or 4 committees. There's a bit of a workload coming there. With that, like I think they sit in on both committee meetings, they go to the research park, and there were some other items there. And it's a bit of a schedule there, and you know, I think it's unfair to that position to do that. And I just don't understand how that's going to work with that 80%. You got to attend 80% of the meetings, and I noticed I went over last year's, and there were some councilors that, you know, attended up to 40, 50 meetings, and I just look at the fairness of it. You get some of us that don't go to nothing. Well, I think I went to one or something. But then you got others that carry the workload, and I'm just not sure that's a fair system just to pay a salary.
Okay. Any other comments? Councillor Case?
Yes, Mr. Warden, through you. I'd be willing to move the recommendation, but I do think that Councillor Napper raises a good point when it comes to the deputy warden and the workload. Being that I've been the warden a few different times, I understand that the deputy warden can be called on, especially when there's multiple meetings going on at the same time. So I guess I have no problem with the recommendation, but I do think maybe there should be maybe some further discussion on maybe something for the deputy warden as well. So I'll make the recommendation as it sits, and I'll wait to see if anybody else has anything they'd like to add to it for discussion if I get a seconder.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor McCharles? So are you suggesting that this recommendation that's printed would have an adjustment regarding the deputy warden? Councillor Case?
Yes, I'll speak to it. I do believe that the deputy warden is a valuable individual to the county. Like I said, in my past experience, I've had numerous deputy wardens, and they've all carried a good slice of the workload. Unfortunately, life being what it is, we have a large county. and there's multiple events going on, as you know, yourself and Mr. McCharles being your deputy warden. So I think it would only be fair, to be honest, to recognize the position. And again, I hate to throw numbers out like this, but being that we're here and we have an election coming, I understand that's why we're dealing with it today. So I'll throw out a number, and I'm basing it on my past experience. And I'll say that the deputy warden be paid an additional $12,000 a year over and above what a counselor is paid during this scenario. So that's $1,000 a month. And I hate to throw out a number, but I think we need to have a discussion today about that. I'll leave it at that and make it a friendly amendment if the seconder is okay with it.
Seconder agreed with that. Okay, so it's that you have that recorded, what the, so it wouldn't be an amendment, but that'll be the motion with one more that, the added of $12,000. Any further discussion? Councillor McDougall.
Yes, Warden Weaver, members of County Council, I had noted the position of Deputy Warden as well in my review of the package. And I believe that if the Deputy Warden is receiving additional remuneration for the extra workload that comes to that position, I think it's important for all of us to recognize that if we support this motion, what we're losing is the recognition of a counselor's commitment, as Councillor Napper said, a counselor's additional participation in meetings and offer of service and whatnot. I always felt that the meeting pay system was fair in that it recognized a counselor's participation in additional positions, whether that's as deputy warden or additional work that the counselor is undertaking as part of AG or other committees that are important to the overall service delivery of Lambton County. That said, I have a question. If the only way that we could keep that system in place with meeting pays to recognize participation is to go with option 1, is that what that is describing? And option 1 also moves the compensation for counselors overall to the 50th percentile. Can somebody better explain that for us as decision makers? I guess the other thing is, why have all the other councils gone to this just base remuneration without meeting pay? In your investigation, what were the responses from other municipalities on that matter?
Who wants to address that?
For sure. Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Warden, we do have a motion on the floor.
Yep.
And now this is going into another recommendation. I think, in all honesty, a basic question's okay, but now we're talking about a secondary piece. I think that we need to deal with the motion that's on the floor, in my opinion.
Ruling on that would be, this is just a question to get information regarding to the motion. So the motion stands, and I would like to hear the explanation. It may make a difference in how. The motion still stands for this recommendation with the additional recognition of the deputy warden. This is a question regarding why we went to that. So.
If I understand correctly, if memory serves me well as well, really two questions. One is options 1, option 2, option 3, do they achieve the dual goal of achieving marketplace at the 50th percentile, and then secondly, addressing the 1/3 tax exemption loss? That being the first question. And then the second question being, why are more and more municipalities going towards a flat annual salary versus honorarium plus meeting pay? With respect to the first question, options 1, 2, and 3, they preserve the duality of a basic honorarium plus a meeting pay. The consultant, Coletta Nets, effectively presented 3 different options. So option 1 being an uptick to the honorarium to $17,792 with $133 per meeting pay, which on average would go up to about $21,915. That would roughly get you to market plus 1/3, but not fully there. Option 2, similarly, but even less. The erosion would still exist. And option 3 would be the closest, but again, getting it to meeting pay through a bonus if you attended 85%. Options 1, options 2, and option 3 all get to one way or another addressing the 1/3 and or the marketplace issue, but not in the perfect mathematical way, in a sense, to put it that way. It gets you there, but not fully there. Option 4, which is the option that's currently the motion on the floor, really deals with a salary, the attendance at meetings, and the equities of the attendance at meetings we figured could be dealt with through council and council as a body on its own. And other municipalities seem to be going there. What we're told, roughly 60% of municipalities seem to be going there because it's sort of easier from an administrative perspective to say, here's your annual salary, and we're not going to be maintaining or policing meetings and or dictating which meeting are being paid when. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay. Any further questions before I call the vote? Councillor Napper.
Thank you very much, Warden Weber. I'm still wrestling with this. I just can't see the fairness of it. If I go to 10 meetings a year and Ian doesn't go to any, we still get the same value. If I sit at a committee meeting for 5, 6, 7 days, I get the same money as Ian gets. I don't see that. I think it's for services offered. I think the system we got now works well, and I won't be supporting this motion.
Councillor Bean.
Thank you, Warden. I would have to agree with Lonnie. I mean, we all know that I do miss the odd meeting because I'm working. And I think the system that we have is fair. If you don't attend the meeting, you don't get paid for it. It's as simple as that. Option 3 says that if you want that extra $3,500, you have to be 80% in attendance. And I actually, myself, I like option 3. I know that's not what's on the floor right now, but I would have to agree with Lonnie. I mean, if you don't attend the meetings, it's not fair if I'm not there to get the same amount of money. I do agree with him.
Councillor McDougall.
Warden Weaver, members of County Council, I am leaning in the same direction as my colleagues to my left here. I believe that our participation at meetings here is important and has been recognized and over time and has been compensated accordingly. If I support a recognition that the deputy warden is participating in more meetings and therefore should receive greater remuneration, then I think for consistency, I too feel that some rendition of the current system in place that recognizes a discussion had by council some time ago that said they wanted to recognize that the loss of this 1/3 was going to provide even less compensation, and I can appreciate the discussion on that point. But I value the fact that if you participate, you get paid accordingly, and I fear that in the future, it may have a negative impact to the way the system currently runs right now, that those who have the time and the interest to participate beyond base meetings, they get compensated for it, for their time and their travel and whatnot. And I think that system as it has operated has been fair.
Councillor Gillis, then Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Warden Weaver, members of County Council. I would not agree with the previous 3 speakers. I reflect on the system that we have at the City of Sarnia. And for those of us who participate in many committees, we are compensated the way that everyone is compensated. It's not based on committee attendance, but rather the overall performance that you are doing as an elected official. And I would argue that elected officials do not go into politics to be compensated. We know that the job what it entails, the hours that it entails, and to try to put a number or quantify a number to that would be very difficult. I have been very, very honored to be part of county council and have the system in place, but it is not a requirement. It's not something that I signed up for the pay. It's something I signed up for the duty and the honor of representing our colleagues and citizens in the city of Sarnia. So I agree with what Councillor Case has put forward, and I think it's fair, and I appreciate what the staff have done in order to try to get us to this point.
Councillor Bradley?
Gordon, perhaps it would help to focus this. From what I'm hearing on the floor today, A has total support, C has total support, D, E, and F does. The only point of contention is B. So I think it might be simpler if we just voted at this point, get those out of the way, and because I don't want to see the resolution defeated in total, when I think there's commonality of agreement on everything except item B. So I don't know if the mover and seconder would be willing to do that, just to get that out of the way. And that sets a direction, because I'm not hearing anyone dissenting from that, because a lot of these things are housekeeping. When you look at C and the others that are there. And number A, too, I think there's consensus on that, as it relates to the warden. Just a suggestion.
Councillor Buzowitz had his hand up, and then I'll go back to the mover on that.
I'll just go back to the previous speakers. I do like the approach taken by Councillor Case. For some reason, some people think that physical absence from here means that the council is not doing the work. You do the work physically, not maybe able here, and I think that should be included in, you can have a conflict, you can be on another board meeting or special assignment and so on. So physical attendance here is not really reflective of the workload taken on by the councillors. I think suggestion or the motion by Councillor Case has merits, and I think rather than complicate, go around the A, B, C, Ds and so on, I intend to support it.
Okay. Councillor Case, the question was asked whether you want to split the
Yes,
motion
and
up.
well, with all due respect, Mr. Warden, I'm going to leave the motion as is. If it passes, it passes. If it's defeated, it's defeated. But I would like to leave the motion as is if my seconder still concurs.
We're good with leaving it as is, which is the recommendations are there with the addition of the $12,000 for the deputy mayor position. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Opposed? The motion is carried. Councillor Bradley?
My concern was, again, on the elimination of the committees, and I think there's some merit to keeping that system, the committee pay. But having said that, I think the new council needs to take a look at the committee system and needs to take a look at should we be operating more as a committee of the whole. And that should be something the new council should look at. Also, I think the new council needs to look at the composition and size of county council heading into the next term after this one. Because we haven't done a significant reform on the size for quite some time. I mean, some of us can recall when there was 37 people in this room as elected officials, and we've downsized that number a few times. So I think after this, the new council should sit down and look at, and I think the system works pretty well, the committee system, but I think also it could be improved, as anything can. So at the appropriate time, if I'm back here, I'll be bringing motions to that effect to the first meeting of the new council.
Okay. Councillor Gillis?
Thank you, Warden Weber, members of County Council. I believe it was in our last term that we did change the committee system, and we did go to the committee of the whole and then changed back to the committee system because it was unworkable. But we have received all of the information, both committee receive all of the information so that we have a full understanding of what everyone is doing. So I'm just wondering why we're looking at going back to what we rejected 4 years ago.
The recommendation that was just passed, that we report back on compensation comparison once per term, so that's up to the new council when the new council is formed, something that they certainly can bring forward. Okay, moving on, item number 7 is the minutes, no, what am I at? I'm ahead of that. Item number 9, AM minutes. I would call on Chair Arnold. He's already standing. So.
Warden Weaver, members of County Council, it's my pleasure to present the minutes from the AM Committee for Infrastructure Development Services, Public Health Services, Cultural Services, and any other services that aren't serviced.
Thank you. Information reports, item 1. Councillor Gilliland.
I see there's a mover or seconder to receive and file. I have a concern with that because receive and file to me means you put it away and never look at it again. Okay. An information report, receive and file. I would like to add something to this motion. I don't know exactly how, whether I can add in this motion or make a motion after the fact. And I'll ask you for some help on that one.
Procedure-wise, can he make a motion now to, go ahead.
I think either way would work. If you wish to address the substance of the issue now and make a motion, then we can carve that out and deal with that separately and then proceed with the remainder of the minutes,
Yep.
or wait till the end. But I think right now, since the item is squarely in front of you, probably makes sense.
Yeah, so if you have a motion that you'd like to change, we would have that motion, make a decision on that, and then the minutes will be adopted at the end as amended with your motion, if it passes.
So, shall I do this now?
Yep.
Okay. The purpose of this is to give some structure, some meaning to this motion. So I want to identify some items in there that we need to take care of as per the petition that came from 161 people in the Brigden and Kimball area. And the items go like this. Number 1, 80 Highway through Brigden be designated as a community safety zone. You can write these down or I can give them to you later. Item number 2, larger stop signs to be placed on the Brigden side road at 80 Highway. Number 3, an overhead flashing light similar to the one at 80 Highway and Kimball be installed at 80 Highway and Brigden side road. Number 4, the speed at 80 Highway and Kimball Road be reduced to 70 kilometers an hour for the same length as Petrolia Line and Kimball Road. And 5, Lambton County work with St. Clair Township to complete an investigation for installation of a crosswalk at the intersection of 80 Highway and Brigden Side Road. And understanding that all of these will be under the financial arrangement that we have between the county and the townships. That is my motion, and the purpose, again, is to give some structure to this whole thing. Thank you.
Okay. Seconded by Councillor Arnold. Any questions regarding that? So that would be to prepare bylaws for those issues and have them put in place. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Item 2, regarding Northville aggregate pit closure. Item 3, public health services, information. Item 4, regarding alcohol and drug strategy. Cultural services, item 5, regarding gallery second quarter statistics. Item 6, library's donation report. Councillor Bradley?
Mr. There, on the drug and alcohol strategy, I don't know if it was part of the motion, but it was raised that we wanted to see some sort of report back on timelines because this was open-ended. Yeah, I don't know if that was going to be part of the motion. We supported the direction, the committee and all this, but we wanted to see some timelines, that when will this be up and running, all those things. If you want, I believe they were going to bring something back, but I don't see it in the resolution passed by the committee.
Any comments? Mr. Taylor?
Through you, Warden Weaver. At the committee AM meeting, we had discussion, and it was raised that the committee wanted to see a timeline put in there. What staff reported back was that because there was so much information that we didn't have, that we weren't sure when this could come back, but then we said that we would be able to bring that back hopefully in the new year. So we have no problem including a motion in there as long as we can make that past probably February of 2019 to come back. But I'll leave it to there to see if that's comfortable for you.
I'd just like to add on there that we request this structure committee be report back after, by no later than, say, March of next year.
Okay. So you're moving that...
Just an amendment to it, because that's...
okay. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Case? Clerk has that recorded. Any questions regarding that? All in favor of that? Opposed? That's carried. I think I'm on to other business. Item 7 is the meeting adjournment. Councillor Arnold.
Thank you, Warden Weaver. I'll move this day's minutes as amended.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Bradley? Questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We have the afternoon committee minutes. Councillor Han.
It's my pleasure to present the PM committee minutes of September the 19th.
Okay. Long-term care division, item 1 was correspondence. Item 2 regarding the future of elder care. Finance, facilities, and courts, item 3 is correspondence. Item 4 was in camera. Item 5 raised from in camera, or dealt with in camera. Item 6 was an open meeting. Item 7 is motion to adjourn. Councillor Han?
So I move for the minutes as recommended.
Okay. Seconded by Councillor Napper. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Items tabled from a previous meeting, notices of motion, notice of bylaws.
Thank you, Warden. It is moved by Councillor Boucher, seconded by Councillor McGugan, that bylaw 24 of 2018, as circulated, be taken as read a first and second time.
All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
It is moved by Councillor McGugan, seconded by Councillor Boucher, that bylaw 24 of 2018, as circulated, be taken as read a third time and finally passed.
All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Other business? Deputy Warden McCharles.
Yeah, thank you, Warden Weaver. I would just like to bring to the attention that I attended on behalf of the Warden and County Council, attended the Inn of the Good Shepherd Awards evening in Sarnia at the Corporate Center, and the county was awarded the Caring Hands Award, and it was actually a very nice event, and I just wanted to make people aware that we do have the Caring Hands Award, and there's also a book there that was given with the award, and I think if anyone's interested, there's a lot of the things that happened over the past few years around Sarnia and Lambton, and I would like you to take that and have a quick read, because it's interesting to see some of the things that have happened. So just on behalf of County Council, I enjoyed attending that event, and very well put on. a number of nice awards, and the Inn of the Good Shepherd does a great job for the community. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone else, other business? I took that all out of order. Councillor McGugan?
Yeah, Mr. Warden, Weaver County Council, to Manager Cole, are all the electrical charging stations in? And if they are they being used? And are they working the way you had hoped?
All except one have been installed. There's one that's in the process of being installed at this point in time. They are all functional. They are being used, and as far as we can tell, everything is working fine with no incidents and no concerns with them at this point. There will be a report updating council as to the installation and how things are working administratively behind the scenes. That'll be coming to the committee meeting on the 17th.
Okay. Councillor McDougall?
Yes, Warden Weaver, members of County Council, as we quickly moved through the agenda, and now that you're looking for new business, would it be inappropriate for staff to update us on the Bayside Mall discussions and negotiation of the county with the property in downtown Sarnia?
Okay. Yes?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. We have been in continuous discussions with Seasons with regards to the mall. The best I can tell you at this point is that we have a full-day meeting scheduled for Friday this week. We are aware of the associated deadline, shall we say, with coming to an agreement on everything. And we are hoping that this discussion will allow us to be in a position to present something to council shortly. We continue to talk with them, and when there is something further to report, we will report it.
Follow up, Councillor McDougall?
Follow up, if I could, Mr. Warden. With respect to your negotiations and some of the anticipated directional changes or not of our new provincial government, are you anticipating that anything is going to change with respect to the provision of services and to the level that we've been able to provide these services in partnership with some of the other community organizations? Are we at any risk of being of this costing the county more money because of some change that might be coming down the pipe from the province that we're not aware of?
The best way, I think, to answer that is that we are fully aware and have made Seasons fully aware of the implications of the change in government and what that could mean. We have gone forward with a two-pronged strategy, I think would be the best way to put it. We're looking at what would what would we be looking for if it was just the county alone and not our partners with the province. The other one includes what would be required if they came along with us. We have had discussions with them, but I'm sure as your staff, any of your staff who've spoken with the province can tell you, the province isn't big on making commitments for future activities at this point. So we are attempting to make sure that there's flexibility in the discussions to address this, and Mr. Tifo and I have been working very diligently to make sure that we will not be caught with something that's going to cost us more than for what we require, or that we will be taking more space than we require and can properly use.
Thank you. Councillor Bean?
Thank you, Mr. Warden, to Jason. Could you maybe give us an update, if not today, at our next meeting, how we're making out with the county sign at?
Mr. Warden,
Cool.
if it pleases council, I can give a brief update today. We are currently working on a lease or a license agreement with the property owner, and we've got a property value assigned to that property to make that happen. We also have an RFP that will be going out very shortly to hire a consultant to do the official design of that. And I'm at the risk of just having some premature discussion. Our cultural manager, Andrew, and I have been talking about maybe some alternatives that would please council and integrate some of the signage options, and these need to be vetted. But I think they're maybe more exciting than what was originally presented to council, and could be a very pleasing and unifying venture for the county. So as we get updates on all three of these items, we'll bring those forward to council in reports and give council full opportunity to vet them.
Thank you. Anything else? Councillor Arnold?
Thank you, Warden Weber, members of the County Council, all of our staff, of course, and everyone else that's here in the audience. I'd just like to issue a warm welcome and invitation to the Brigden Fall Fair happening this weekend, starting on Friday the 5th, going through to Monday the 8th, contrary to what was reported on the television this morning. And the grand opening is Friday morning at 11 a.m. Everybody is welcome to that, and I will make sure you get recognized if you're there. So thank you so much, and I hope everyone takes a few moments this weekend to express thanksgiving for the great country that we live in, the great county that we're in, and having the opportunity as elected people to serve the wonderful people that make up our county. So thank you, Warden Weber.
Councillor Marriott?
Thank you, Warden Weber. Just want to bring attention to County Council that Deputy Warden McCharles or Mayor Petrolia, Councillor, whatever, all three. He's been invited to speak at the Smart Cities Expo next week in Toronto. It's a large conference of about 1,200 people at the International Convention Center. So I think congratulations to him for that.
I'm sure he'll do a fine job. We've heard him at other conventions promoting his town, so well done. Seeing nothing else, motion to adjourn. Councillor Gillis and everybody else. Councillor Broad. All in favor of that? That's carried. Thank you. O Canada.